Star Citizen's crafting tech preview didn't just tease a new kiosk and some stat sliders. It exposed the real question CIG's been dancing around for years. What's the economy supposed to be? Because if crafting doesn't work, the economy never really forms. And if the economy never forms, Star Citizen stays a bunch of great loops that don't truly connect. Right now, the economy is mostly static. Prices don't move much, and the universe doesn't react in a meaningful way. And if CIG sticks to their stated direction, crafting won't be another loop. It'll likely be the closest thing that we've seen to a real economy. More importantly, it'll likely become one of the core gameplay loops a huge chunk of the player base interacts with, whether they think themselves as crafters or not. And by the end of this video, you'll know the two decisions that decide whether crafting becomes the backbone of the game, or content that burns hot for a month and then goes quiet. Now, quick note, I'm not Evocati. Everything I'm covering from the recent crafting tech preview is secondhand, based on multiple first-hand tester breakdowns that line up on the major mechanics, plus CIG's public presentations and statements. So I'm going to keep this clean and separated into 3 lanes. What CIG's shown publicly, what the economy looks like in live, and what the tech preview suggests is already forming. Then we'll get to the make or break pieces that decide whether crafting becomes an economic engine or just another menu. CIG's long-term pitch has never been to have a static vendor economy forever. For years, they talked openly about a simulation-driven economy, most notably through Tony Z's CitizenCon presentations, where quantum was described as a background simulation, shaping supply, demand, NPC behavior, and economic pressure across the verse. That mattered because it framed Star Citizen as a living system. Not just you can trade goods, but the universe reacts. Over time, quantum evolved into what CIG now refers to as StarSim. But here's the reality. Communication around that system has been quiet for quite a few years. Sure, we've seen occasional references and passing mentions, along with some chatter that what eventually ships may not resemble the original quantum vision in the way it was first presented. Whether that's a technical pivot, a scope change, or simply a shift in priorities isn't fully clear. What is clear is that the fully visible simulation-driven economy layer hasn't been explained in detail in quite a while, and hasn't materialized in live in the way many players expected. And that puts crafting in a very interesting position, because crafting is arriving into a universe where the economic simulation layer that was supposed to support it either isn't ready, or may now look very different than originally envisioned. And until that layer shows up in a visible way, the live economy is still mostly terminal-driven and developer-controlled. Right now, trading in Star Citizen mostly means buying and selling through NPC terminals, hauling from A to B, and managing the risk along the route. That loop can be fun, it can be profitable, but it isn't a player-driven economy. There's no robust, in-universe player marketplace that reliably moves goods from producers to consumers. So when people say the economy feels limited, they're not saying there's nothing to do. They're saying the universe doesn't react enough, and players can't consistently trade value between each other inside the game. And that's why crafting is different. It forces real dependency between professions, and that dependency is what gives the economy pressure and direction. Based on the reports, this tech preview wasn't about polish. It was about proving the loop. But here's what consistently showed up across those accounts. First, material quality matters. Resources have quality values, and higher quality inputs influence output stats. That immediately creates incentives. If quality matters, then miners chase premium materials, haulers move premium materials, and crafters pay more for specific inputs. That's not just crafting content. That's economic behavior. This is where the game stops being, what can I buy? And starts becoming, what can I source? Those are totally different worlds. And here's the real shift. Once quality is everywhere, value stops being a flat price tag and becomes a broader spectrum. You're not just asking, can I get aluminum? You're asking, what quality of aluminum and who can reliably source it? Second, blueprints and fabricators are the interface. The core loop is blueprint selection, material selection, and fabrication through a fabricator-style machine. And this part matters. Fabricators pulling from nearby inventory and cargo grids hints at practical logistics without forcing purely physical crafting for every step. You can still interact with the world, but you're not stuck doing tedious box-by-box micromanagement just to make basic production usable. Third, part slots appear to map to specific outcomes. And that's what matters, because it means that the best item isn't just expensive. It's engineered. One choice in one slot can decide whether you're optimizing recoil, reload, or rounds per minute. Frames, barrels, stocks, and similar slots don't just accept materials, they influence which stats get modified most. That makes crafting feel more like targeted optimization than a simple good mats in, good gun out system. The real test will be whether the system supports multiple viable builds or if everyone just converges on one solved blueprint meta. Fourth, dismantling exists. Even if it's limited right now, dismantling is the bridge between loot and economy. It turns items into inputs instead of vendor trash, which is how a supply chain starts to breathe. And taken together, this points to the bigger picture. If this expands the way CIG's been signaling, crafting won't be niche. It becomes connective tissue across multiple professions. And one more important nuance. Right now, a lot of the discussion centers on material quality because that's what's most visible in the test. But the long-term design clearly wants quality to be shaped by the entire chain. Not just what you mined, but how you mined it, how you refined it, and what decisions you made along the way. Now, if you're into this kind of breakdown, consider subscribing. I focus on how systems connect, why they matter, and where they can fail, not just reading patch notes back to you. Also, if I got anything wrong about the recent crafting tech preview, please tell me in the comments. I spent hours researching everything I could find, so this video captures the most important details as accurately as possible. Anyway, let's continue on with crafting. This is the part I don't think people are fully internalizing yet. Crafting isn't just a crafter sits in a shop and makes guns. If it becomes the closest thing that we've seen to a real economy, especially in the absence of a fully visible simulation-driven market, then crafting becomes the gravity well that pulls other loops into orbit. Miners aren't mining for credits, they're mining for quality. Salvagers aren't just scraping holes, they're feeding a supply chain. Haulers aren't just running generic routes, they're moving inputs and outputs. Even players who never craft a single item still interact with crafting if their gear wears down, their loadouts need replacement, their org needs supplies, or the best equipment becomes something that you acquire from other players instead of a terminal. That's how crafting becomes a system almost everyone touches, directly or indirectly. So here's the tension. Do you want the best gear to come from player chains, or do you want terminals to stay king? Remember how I said this stops being what can I buy and becomes what can I source? This is where that gets real, because sourcing isn't just a planet problem, it's a logistics problem. This also isn't limited to fixed kiosks in cities. Mobile and ship-based crafting is already part of the broader vision. The Clipper has a crafting workbench. Developers have confirmed fabricators can be loaded onto ships and that they'll pull from cargo grids and nearby inventory. Now, we'll likely begin to see more generalist ships like the Clipper be created over the next couple of years. Long-term, crafting also ties into base building, including storefronts players can build at their bases. That shifts crafting from one location gameplay to something logistical, strategic, and connected to territory and infrastructure. And if you've been nodding along thinking, yeah, that sounds like an economy, here's the catch. None of it matters if players can't actually trade at scale inside the game. So what's the first requirement? Players need real ways to trade with each other in-game at scale. Crafting only works if goods can move reliably from producers to consumers. If the trade layer doesn't exist, demand can't form properly. Logistics gets pushed out of game, and crafting risks becoming a self-contained hobby instead of an economic backbone. And this is where the practical problems matter too. Even if crafting is brilliant, the economy won't mature if persistence is shaky, wipes keep resetting progress, or exploits flood the loop with duped value. Player confidence is part of the economy, and if players don't trust the world to hold, they won't commit to building supply chains inside it. The second requirement is that items have to leave circulation. Remember the part about demand? This is the moment it gets decided. If nothing truly leaves circulation, crafting doesn't become the economy. It becomes a one-time checklist. This is the uncomfortable truth. If crafted items are effectively permanent, demand dies. If demand dies, the whole chain collapses. And item recovery is the big complication here. This is where the whole thing can break. Not because crafting is bad, but because the game might remove the reason to replace anything. Item recovery tier 0 and likely even early tier 1 risk breaking the loop if it becomes pay a fee and you're guaranteed to get it back anyway, especially if stolen versions brick for the thief. If there's no meaningful loss or end of life, then replacement demand shrinks. Pirates have less incentive, victims don't need replacements, and crafters lose customers. CIG needs sinks. That can be durability reaching end of life, meaningful wear and replacement cycles, catastrophic loss, or other forms of consumption. But without consumption, you don't have an economy. You just have a collection. And that's why blueprints matter. If crafting is going to scale, replacement has to be structured. Blueprints define who can make what, how production scales, and where specialization actually exists. And it probably won't just be loot RNG. Whether blueprints are personal, shareable, or org managed is going to decide how real industrial org logistics can actually get. With Mission System V2 and Reputation V2, CIG has been clear they want missions and reputation to award physical items, not just credits. Blueprints fit naturally into that reward structure. That's how you build real production roles, instead of everyone crafting everything. So yeah, crafting's exciting, but the story isn't, we can make guns now. The story is that Star Citizen's economy has been limited for a long time, and crafting will likely be the closest thing that we've seen to a real economy. And if CIG sticks to their direction, it'll likely become one of the core loops most players interact with, whether they plan to or not. But it hinges on two decisions: how players trade and how items leave the world. If CIG nails those, crafting doesn't just add content. It connects the entire game. But what do you think? Do you want durability and repair to be the sink? Or do you want true loss and replacement? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to support these deep dives, consider becoming a channel member. It's the best way to keep this kind of reporting sustainable. You'll get access to members-only videos, members-only channels in my Discord, recognition in every video, and more. And if you want more like this, check out the video that I did last week on VR and how incredible of an experience it is for a first iteration. As always, thanks for watching. Fly safe, pilots, and I'll see you in the verse. Havoc out.